You're probably going to ask me what the deal with the new camera angle is. Well, it's because it's becoming a bit of a hassle positioning it on my laptop with with a support arm broken off. So I'm going to be doing tonight's Naruto manga rant like this. So manga chapter 606 basically picks up where 605 left off. Obito finds grieves over Rin's body, vows to bring her back, goes back to Madara in the White Zed suit, says that he'll fall through with the plan, but before Madara dies, he gives Obito his Sharingan. Now, here's where I think this. Now, in my opinion, this is a plot point. Theoretically, is it possible for Madara to use his Sharingan to implant or transfer a portion of his own psyche into the body of another Uchiha? I mean, the way I've seen this being drawn up, it's similar to the final plot line in Digimon 02. Let me explain. Okay. Throughout the whole series, we had found out about the whole deal with the Digimon Emperor being a Digidestined gone rogue, then being converted back to good. Two Digimon made from human data, DNA turned into streams of data, are Kanamon and Mummymon. The control spires sealing away the four Digimon sovereigns of Kyoto Japanese lore. And how it all goes back to the Odaiba Fog incident from the original series. We find out in a bunch of dark spores, which blossom into flowers that subtly manipulate and corrupt a child's psyche, a child's mind, while enhancing their intellect and athletic prowess. But at the same time, gives them a major league superiority complex. We find out the mastermind behind this is Oikawa Yukio. Who was an old associate to both Ken's dad and TK's mother. Emphasis on the term business associate. Well, they worked together at one point or another in their lives. And both Mr. Ichijoji and Ms. Takashi openly admitted the guy gave them the creeps. And apparently we also find out, based on Oikawa's backstory, he was obsessed with going to the digital world with his old friend Hiroki, who was actually Cody's late officer father. When Blackboard Greymon, who was one of our Kanamon Mummymon creations, drew 100 control spires, senses a darker presence within Oikawa, he realizes that there's only one hope he has of stopping them, and that's stopping this presence, and that's by blocking off the Heightened View Terrace Gate, and by sacrificing himself. Too bad it goes for naught, as Oikawa finds his way into an alternate world not too far off in the digital world, but he goofed because he played the wrong card in the combination lock. And then we find out that the real mastermind behind the whole deal was none other than Myotismon, whose data stream had taken refuge inside Oikawa's body. And I think this plot point gets lost on some people because if you go back to season 1, now this is just in terms of my theory. If you go back to Season 1, when Wizardmon was killed off, he died in the real world. And while Digimon only get reincarnated, and while Digimon can be brought back reincarnated in their infantile stage, that only occurs in the digital world. If they die in the real world, their data ends up floating around as a ghost stream, or they have to take refuge in another body, in another physical body, and feed off the host like a parasite. In my opinion, same deal with Madara doing it to Obito. It then ends, the chapter then ends with Obito running into Nagato using Madara's name. Around the time the Akatsuki, the original Akatsuki, when they were trying to get a peace negotiation with Hanzo of the Salamander, who had Madara's Rinnegan implanted in him. And this is where I think the Moon's-Eye Plan further ties into Digimon Zero 2. Remember the dark spores and flowers I mentioned? They weren't a means of disrupting the balance and breaching the barriers of the digital between the digital and real worlds. They were actually the food, the fodder for Myotismon to get his physical body back. And for those wondering, yes, I was a Digi-nut back when I was 12 or 13 years old. After the third season, and I pretty much lost interest until finally Disney picked up the fourth season. But even then, even in early portions of 02 and 03, it was very sporadically that I even caught an episode of the fourth season in the Frontier. But anyway, that's my opinion on what the whole Moon's Eye Plan is, and my view of the whole backstory behind Madara's connection with Obito. To me, it's just Digimon Zero 2's final plot elements thrown together all over again. The Moon's Eye Plan is not a means to bring peace to the world. To me, and if you threw in the fact if Nagato was still alive, to use the Rinnegan Rebirth, it was little more than a battery that Madara needed to be reborn. Unfortunately, thanks to Naruto throwing a wrench in that plan, Obito had to switch gears and was left with no choice but to rely on Kabuto using the Edo Tensei to bring back Madara. So now that we've got most of, if not all the evidence, all the details was out in the open, and all the pieces of the puzzle slowly falling into place, what are we going to do next week? Another flashback chapter on how Obito manipulated Nagato and turning the Akatsuki into a criminal organization instead of a group of freedom-fighting rebels in the rain? Perhaps. Though personally, 6 or 7 weeks of flashbacks is getting a little repetitive. We've got Obito's motivation as to why he turned evil. We've got how it came about. And what caused it, and how he went about fulfilling his ancestor's scheme. I'll be back tomorrow to give my thoughts on Gantz Manga Chapter 372, as well as my NFL Season Pick'em Challenge Year 6, Week 7 predictions. That's it for me. God bless. I'm out. Peace and good night.